What's up, guys, and welcome back to the MouseVibes. Today, Ashley and I are going to settle the age-old debate of which is the best mountain in Disney, California.
There are 5 total mountains at Disney, California, and we are going to rank them from worst to best. And we're going to take into consideration ambiance, Disney charm, line queues, and how fun the ride is actually, to be on. All of that's going to be taken into consideration. Let's start with number 5.
Yeah, number 5 on our list is going to be what?
Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain opened at Disneyland, California in 1989, and it was created by legendary Imagineer Tony Baxter. There are versions of it at Disneyland in California, Tokyo Disneyland, and in the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World.
That's right. All 3 of these versions of the ride are a little bit different. They all have a little bit of a different charm, might be located in a different land, and we've been so lucky to go on all 3 of them, actually.
But ours here in California is the only one that never gets updated.
Wow.
I know we talk about this nearly, we find a way to incorporate our hate for rides not getting updated on every single podcast, but that is the main reason. On top of the troubled historic past, the fact that it's never held up bothers me. Is Splash Mountain great to look at? Absolutely. If you can catch the fireworks at the perfect time when you're going down Splash Mountain, is it great? Absolutely. But it's not well kept. You can see kind of the wheeling falling off, type of the paint chipping and everything. And out of the 5 of them, I feel like it's a no-brainer. It's the worst one.
Ooh, I wouldn't know if it's the worst. It's the bottom of the list for me, but definitely this was the first thrill ride I ever went on as a kid. I remember seeing that drop and being able to look over the River of America and being so freaked out. I mean, even if I could go on it today, I still grip at the top of the mountain like I'm about to die. So there's something to be said about that. And they incorporated all the old animatronics from the America Sings building and were able to repurpose them in a way that I loved. And I know it may not be the best of time to admit that, but that ride was a huge staple in my childhood.
Definitely growing up before we knew any better what it was about, and we were just 5-year-olds going to Splash Mountain. It was a great ride, and also to ride in the middle of the dead heat of the summer and seeing people go down the mountain and then the water coming through the thorns. It's definitely a lot of fun. I still enjoy riding it when it's super hot out. We did ride the one in Florida at our last trip. You can check out that video. We'll link it below of our day in Magic Kingdom. We had a great time, but the one in Florida, they keep up great. And the one in Tokyo is legendary, and it's so smooth and you don't really get wet.
Shout out to Japanese people.
Yes, we love Japan. But yeah, this would be my bottom pick.
Actually, Ashley and I agree on all 5 of these. Once we talked it out and considered all of the elements, it's actually a no-brainer. She's right. It's going to be number 5 on our list.
And if you guys remember earlier in 2020, Disney announced that they were going to re-theme both U.S. Splash Mountains to Princess and the Frog, and they put out concept art about it. We are very excited and very eager to see what that looks like and hopefully what they turn that whole area of Critter Country into, so stay tuned for that. We are pumped.
Yeah, maybe when that gets around to being made and we get to go on it, we'll re-rank the mountains then, but until then, part 5.
This might change when Splash Mountain's a whole new thing. We shall see, but I put all my faith in Disney Imagineering that it is going to be awesome. Okay, so let's go up the list to number 4. That's going to be Grizzly River Run, Grizzly Peak in Disney California Adventure.
Disney's California Adventure!
Grizzly Peak or Grizzly River Run is a water ride that was built in 2001, designed to look like a California national park setting in the 1950s. It was manufactured by Intamin AG, which is a ride company from Liechtenstein. They also created Jumpin' Jellyfish and the Incredicoaster in Disney California Adventure. Okay, first off, I love Grizzly River Run, Grizzly Peak, but it's missing the Disney touch. It has no story. It has no story. It's aesthetically pleasing. It looks great. When you can catch that bear with the sunset, oh, it's money, especially with a little cocktail in your hand. It's money. There's no story. There's no Disney charm to that ride whatsoever.
All of the rides at Disney, I feel have a story. They're just not as known. What's the story of Matterhorn then? Doesn't matter. It's still awesome. Grizzly Peak is one of the most aesthetically pleasing attractions ever. It's probably my favorite staple attraction over at DCA. You can walk around the whole ride. You have the geyser section. You have this lookout peak from the drop. So if you want to get wet on a whim, while you're walking by, it's just awesome. There isn't really, an animatronic or any central characters, but the overall theming and the music and the water running is just one of my favorite things. I've never been to Yosemite, but what it looks like on on Google. It's pretty close.
Okay, I don't want to get too sassy, but you did just say, what's the story for Matterhorn? I feel like you're about to put your foot in your mouth, and here's why. The story of Matterhorn is so easy. A lost hitchhiker on the mountain got eaten. Hitchhiker, whatever. Mountain climber. The guys with the stick in the ice. Whatever. You know what it is. He got lost on the trail because he got eaten by Bigfoot. He got eaten by the Yeti. I'm confusing expedition. Anyway, that's what it is because he ate the trail and everything. Like, that's what it is. But I get it. But
there is a story for Grizzly Peak. We just don't really know it offhand.
Yeah, there is a story.
Way. Like, is there a story for Big Thunder? Yes, but it's not as known. And I feel like that's the same thing with Grizzly Peak. It's probably like some people went, camping and there's a bear up there at the top of Grizzly Peak. Something along those lines.
Yeah, it's not as like obvious, but something I will say, I feel where they missed the mark is they could have brought the Disney charm to Grizzly Peak by having the statue be of the country bears and having it be a country bear water wilderness ride and had country bear animatronics. I think that would have been dope.
Yes, Ashley, that sounds actually awesome. Who doesn't want to see Big Al playing the banjo? When you're going down to get splashed, obviously, yes.
Yeah, but
I want that.
It's a great ride. We love it, but it just didn't make it to the top of the list because for me personally, it doesn't have that Disney charm, and you only pretty much ride in the summer unless you're crazy like us and ride in the winter.
Okay. She's also not talking about this. Every single time Ashley and I have been on, since it's only a party of 2 and the boat fits 6, we always ride with young families with kids, and watching kids go on that and like freak out and lose their mind. You see this like 6-year-old kid who doesn't fit in the seat because it's oversized and like, hold on, Billy! And he's just like, ah! It's the best. It's like the closest thing to death that kid has ever felt in his life.
You're so right. They're always like, ooh, and then they can't really reach the tube in the middle, so they're like, oh my god. Yeah, you're so right.
It's the best. I love that ride.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Okay, moving up the list is going to be Space Mountain.
Yes.
One of man's oldest dreams has been the desire for space travel, to travel to other worlds. Until recently, this seemed to be an impossibility. But great new discoveries have brought us to the threshold of a new frontier. The frontier of interplanetary space.
Space Mountain is a staple at Disneyland. One of the best reveals, in my opinion, is if you walk from on the harbor side to go to Disneyland and you're walking by the monorail and then you look to the right and you see the reveal of Space Mountain. It's iconic. You can't have Disneyland without Space Mountain.
Ooh, I love Space Mountain. And if you would have probably asked me to rank the mountains earlier in my life, this would easily be number 1. It's the first roller coaster I ever got to go on, a staple in my family. This is my mom's favorite ride, and I feel like every family has a little tradition when they go on this. For us, it was everyone had to wear sunglasses on the ride because it was already pitch black and you just couldn't see it. That was a thing in our family. So just imagine a 7-year-old bowl cut Nick with sweet Matrix glasses.
Space Mountain at Disneyland, California is the second incarnation of the Space Mountain ride series. The first one was made at Walt Disney World in 1975. It is so iconic, and they have a differentiation of it at each park, and while it's not an actual mountain, it's a mountain in space. The cool thing about Space Mountain for the ride factor is they've had Rockin' Space Mountain where they played Red Hot Chili Peppers in it. They have Ghost Galaxy during Halloween. And then they have Hyperspace Mountain where they incorporated the Star Wars.
Star Wars overlay to promote, the new Force Awakens movie. I don't know. Heard of it?
You can do so much with Space Mountain. And I feel like Space Mountain is for kids. I feel like that's the ride where you graduate from the kiddie rides to the big kid rides at Space Mountain. Because the height requirement isn't too major on it. A little kid could ride it, but I think it's the fact that it's in the dark and with the wind elements where it tricks you to thinking you're going so fast, it's scary for kids. When I rode Space Mountain, I was a big kid. You know what I mean?
Come on, every kid's favorite roller coaster.
Okay, so something great about Space Mountain is the ride queue is amazing. Everything about the line queue is great. You have to do the walk up to get up to the mountain, and then once you're in the spaceship, and then the big reveal when you're actually getting on the ride. Then you have that whole part of the line queue where you get to look down and see people laughing, getting off the ride, and then seeing people excited to get on.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's amazing. I don't know, before when I was a kid, they had Star Tours, but there wasn't Galaxy's Edge and such a huge Star Wars presence at Disneyland. There's something for me as a kid that felt like the closest thing to Star Wars, getting on that ship about to board before Space Mountain. It just felt like you were about to lift off into space. And the whole countdown, and oh man, I love that ride.
Yeah, I would say, like, just going back to how iconic Space Mountain is, you literally can't have Disney without Space Mountain. I feel like those go hand in hand. I feel like a lot of the times when people think about Disneyland, they think of Mickey Mouse and they think of Space Mountain.
Yep.
That's why it's in the middle of the list, because the two ones above it are just a bit more iconic, but Space Mountain takes the cake. It's something you have to ride every time you go to Disneyland, and it's just aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and if you get the chance to go to any park, definitely get on Space Mountain there, because they're all a little bit different, like Ashley was saying. They each have their own little touch. For instance, the one in Florida is a single ride. It's a single section, almost more like Matterhorn. And then in Tokyo, it just feels so different. There's no music on it, and people are silent on roller coasters. So it's a very different experience.
And it's super short in Tokyo. You're like on and off very quickly. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to travel the world, go to each Space Mountain. We've only gone to the ones at Walt Disney World and in Tokyo, but we're hoping when, we could travel again, we can visit the other ones.
I'm looking for you, Paris.
Okay, next is Big Thunder, second to last.
Woo! I love Big Thunder.
MF Thunder.
Force has unleashed the runaway mine trains on Big Thunder Mountain, but every day, Big Thunder strikes.
Nothing is better than when the sun is setting and it's like the orange cotton candy purple sky and you're looking at Big Thunder Railroad. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite views. The mountain itself just feels so like you're actually there in the Wild Wild West. It's so nice. I love it.
Big Thunder Mountain is Disney Parks' first fully outdoor roller coaster. It's a staple that went into every different Disney park around the world. It's aesthetically pleasing, and it was Imagineered by Tony Baxter and ride design engineer Bill Watkins in 1979.
Okay, so Big Thunder Mountain is another one for me that has been a staple. Another roller coaster, another one that since I was a kid, we waited forever to get on. It was like a must-do. And again, you're hearing the name Tony Baxter for the second time in this conversation. Shout out Tony Baxter.
Okay, you guys all know that one part in the middle of the ride where you're like doing this for an eternity and you're like, and you literally feel like you're gonna die. Best part of Big Thunder. I feel like out of all of the Disney California roller coasters, that one feels the fastest.
Oh yeah.
Every single time we ride it and I look at the front that's like an actual train, I'm like, how is this like safe? Like I seriously don't know how we're still safe. It freaks me out.
And that's another one of those rides that they've continued to update and upgrade with the time. Like Ashley was saying, in 2014 it went to a new construction process where they added projection mapping in one of the caves. So it's actually the last tunnel before the mountain blows up, so you can see like the stick of dynamite, and you can see the projection mapping going all the way through until you explode and then you drop back in. That's a staple now, and like you're seeing new rides like Rise of the Resistance, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, even the updates to Fantasyland, and both Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan both having it. So to me, it's a bit of like, this is the first one to get it, and they did such a great job. And it didn't just stop there. Like they have the great drop that where you see the goat and you see all the animals. But then a couple of years ago, they started to build a Galaxy's Edge. So once you get to that top of the drop, you have this beautiful shot of Batu. And if you see it during fireworks coming from Batu, it's even more special.
When we were all thirsty for more info on Galaxy's Edge and it was getting built, and literally the only way you can get footage of Galaxy's Edge was from the top of the parking structure over by Mickey and Friends, or getting on Big Thunder Railroad multiple times. And then we'd get our camera and we'd be going by the goat and be like, zoom, 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 and then go down.
Yeah, none of them in focus.
None of them in focus, but Big Thunder Mountain is something that I have ridden at every Disney park we visited. So we went to the one in Tokyo, which has a way bigger bat cave sequence. Like the one in Tokyo is like so many bats and so much darkness. That's my favorite one personally, not the OG one. And the one at Walt Disney World's awesome too. We'll talk about more ride comparisons on a later episode, but for me, it's so aesthetically pleasing. I personally would think that Big Thunder is the most beautiful mountain, not the number one overall, but most beautiful to look at. That's number one for me. Beautiful. It's beautiful.
That's definitely a staple. I can't argue it's one of my favorite rides ever. But let's go ahead and finish out this conversation and reveal our number one mountain.
If you made it this far into this video, you are here at the number one best, most absolutely awesome mountain at Disney, California. And that is
Matterhorn!
Boom! If you don't agree, GTFO.
What's
Just
that mean?
kidding.
Welcome to a most exciting adventure. A breathtaking bobsled ride down the icy slopes of the majestic Matterhorn.
Why is Matterhorn the best? Let's see. It's the OG. It has a freaking Yeti. You feel like you're gonna die. You might break your back, but it's freaking worth it. It goes fast. It's beautiful. The line cue's amazing. It's just amazing. There's so much to say about it.
It's the oldest of all the mountains. It's the first tubular steel coaster track in the world. It is a historical landmark. The mountain itself is a staple. If you were to say what the #1 icon in Disneyland is besides Cinderella's castle, it's gotta be Matterhorn Mountain.
Yes, and Bob Gurr is the Imagineer that built it. And back in the day, they used to have like I don't know what the name of those guys are. The ones that have like
It's like the mountain climbers.
The mountain climbers, and then they used to have
the Skyliner.
The Skyliner. Thank you. Thank God I have you here to know. They used to have the Skyliner.
The Skyliner.
The Skyliner. And there is a basketball court at the top. Well, not a court, but a basketball little area. Basketball hoop at the top of it. Matterhorn is my favorite ride at Disneyland. It is my favorite. We have to ride it every time. A lot of my friends disagree with me because I know it hurts their back, but I just love the feeling that you're about to die on the ride.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about it as an ambiance standpoint. Seeing it when you're approaching it from either the Fantasyland side or the Tomorrowland side. It's got the beautiful lagoon next to it. You got the submarines just right there, like I was saying, and the monorail swoops through, and there's just so much movement and life in that area. There's something too when you're walking up and you can hear the sounds of the mountain whistling, and even on the hottest summer day, it just feels like it's like 10 degrees cooler once you get closer to getting on that ride.
Welcome to the Matterhorn bobsleds. It's just the best. And then hearing that being said in Spanish in that accent, it's just the best.
Permanecer sentados, por favor.
And it has the best single rider queue. It's so easy to just get on Matterhorn. I love that ride with every being of my soul.
It's the best. And like Ashley and I were talking about earlier about attractions getting updates. That's another one of those attractions that got a major update in 2015 where they added the LED screens on the lift hill up. You can hear the Matterhorn going, ho, 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 and then he like beats on the glass right next to you. And then the updates with the actual 2 Yetis. Harold is no more. I remember the first time we went on an opening weekend, right after they changed the new Yeti, the Yeti lunged at Ashley, and the look of terror that came off her face was something I'll never forget.
It was so good. The old Yeti is actually in the Collector's Museum on Guardians of the Galaxy. So if and when the park's open, you haven't ridden that ride, if you are in line for it, inside about to get on the ride, you look to your left, you can see the original Yeti in the Collector's Museum. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that ride is just such a staple. It doesn't matter what time of day you get on it, it is the best. But if you're lucky enough and it is firework time or it is a parade and you get to see it, that is the ultimate Disneyland treat.
Also, Matterhorn is the only mountain that Walt Disney himself got to live to actually see, which I feel is very special. Like when you vision Disneyland, or if you were an artist and someone's like, can you draw Disneyland? I feel like you start with the castle and then you do Matterhorn, and those are the 2 things that you do. I feel like it's the most important mountain.
It's one of my favorite ones. Another thing that's so awesome and unique about it, you know, besides Grizzly Peak, it's the only other mountain on this list that hasn't been duplicated somewhere else. It is a Disneyland staple. You can only find it here in Disneyland. They will never make it anywhere else unless Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does a Matterhorn movie that makes $1 billion. I don't think you're going to see it anywhere else. So
also, if you guys didn't know, the e-ticket, that term e-ticket was literally invented for the Matterhorn bobsleds, meaning it required the most expensive and elite ride ticketing system. And the Matterhorn was also the first roller coaster at all Disney parks, and also the first roller coaster at Disney parks that used an elaborate computer system, which means you can have more than one ride system going on at the same time, which for the time that this ride came out, which was in 1959, computer software systems, like that is unheard of, and it was ahead of its time. Like this is a staple. It's a steel roller coaster. The tracks have not been changed. Been updated, they have not been changed. And it's a big deal. It was groundbreaking for its day. Like, we're in 2020. Think about when we rode it last in March. And then put yourself in 1959. I couldn't even imagine, like, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean?
And you know Disneyland is running those rides like crazy. For it to be around that long, I couldn't imagine how many laps have been done on one of those tracks. It's probably, you know what? Matterhorn is probably thankful for the pandemic. Like, please, stop using us so much right now.
Also, Matterhorn was originally on the map in Tomorrowland, and in the 70s they moved it on the map into Fantasyland. So you have a Tomorrowland side and you have a Fantasyland side. I prefer the Fantasyland side because I like that it can go like by those bathrooms and then Alice in Wonderland and everything. But the Tomorrowland side is a bit more empty, and then you get the scenery of Finding Nemo's submarine voyage. But yeah, they actually physically moved it from one land to another in the late 70s.
I prefer the other side, Tomorrowland side.
So those are the top 5 mountains at Disney California ranked in our opinion. If you have a completely different list in mind, let us know in the comments. If you like this channel, please thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. Nick and I are going to have a huge giveaway coming up for a couple lucky winners. Please stay tuned because we are going to show you how to enter that giveaway and what the prizes are and all that jazz. So turn on those notifications, follow us on Instagram at RealMouseVibes, and drop a comment for us. Hope you have the best day ever.
Bye.